Be me, Alina. Tenured professor of gender studies and feminist theory at major university. Spent last decade building reputation as leading voice on contemporary relationship dynamics. Known for my razor-sharp analysis of how patriarchal structures poison modern partnerships. Colleagues respect my work. Students hang on every word during lectures about dismantling oppressive gender norms. Always get invited to speak at academic conferences about progressive relationship models. Life's work centers on proving that egalitarian marriages where partners share everything equally are superior. Traditional gender roles are obviously toxic remnants of patriarchal control systems. Been planning massive longitudinal study for 3 years to definitively prove this. Going to be the study that changes everything. Secured major grant funding. Assembled team of research assistants. Methodology is absolutely bulletproof. Survey 2,847 married couples across 7 different states. Rigorous screening process to ensure representative sample. Track couples for 18 months with quarterly check-ins. Measure relationship satisfaction, conflict resolution, division of labor, financial stress, intimacy levels, control for income, education, age, duration of marriage, presence of children. Peer review process will be flawless because data will be irrefutable. Already drafting acceptance speech for inevitable academic awards. Start data collection phase. Personally, oversee every aspect because this research will define my legacy. Train research assistants on proper survey administration techniques. Emphasize importance of eliminating bias. Maintaining scientific objectivity. Even though we all know what results will show, traditional marriages with defined gender roles are obviously going to perform worse. It's just basic feminist theory. Patriarchal structures create resentment, limit individual growth, perpetuate inequality. Meanwhile, egalitarian marriages allow both partners to flourish authentically, share domestic duties, career ambitions, emotional labor equally. Obviously, these couples will report higher satisfaction, better communication, stronger partnerships. First quarter results start coming in. Sitting in office reviewing preliminary data with research assistant Michael. He looks uncomfortable as he hands me statistical breakdown. Elena, these initial numbers are unexpected. Grab papers eagerly. Expecting to see clear evidence supporting progressive relationship models. Scan through satisfaction ratings, conflict resolution scores, relationship longevity predictors. Something's wrong with these numbers. Traditional couples consistently scoring higher across multiple satisfaction metrics. Must be error in data entry or survey administration. Michael, double-check these calculations. Something's obviously wrong here. Spend next 2 hours going through every number. Results remain the same. Traditional marriages showing 23% higher satisfaction rates than egalitarian partnerships. Probably just statistical noise from small sample size. Need more data before drawing any conclusions. Second quarter results arrive. Pattern becomes more pronounced. Traditional couples reporting significantly better communication, more effective conflict resolution. Their division of labor satisfaction scores are through the roof. Women in traditional marriages rating their relationships 31% higher than women in egalitarian partnerships. This makes no sense. These women should feel oppressed, unfulfilled, trapped by patriarchal expectations. Instead, they're reporting feeling appreciated, secure, valued for their contributions. Meanwhile, women in egalitarian marriages complaining about feeling overwhelmed, underappreciated, constant negotiations about household duties creating tension rather than harmony. Husbands in traditional marriages also reporting higher satisfaction, feeling respected, needed, clear about their role and responsibilities. Egalitarian husbands describing confusion, guilt, constant walking on eggshells. Call emergency meeting with research team. Something's fundamentally wrong with our methodology. Maybe survey questions are poorly worded, leading participants towards certain responses. Spend entire afternoon reviewing every question for potential bias. Questions are perfectly neutral, designed according to best practices for relationship research. Michael suggests maybe we're seeing anomalous results from specific geographic regions. Traditional values might be more normalized in certain areas, affecting how people report satisfaction. Decide to expand sample size, include more urban progressive areas. Surely metropolitan couples practicing egalitarian partnerships will skew results back toward expected outcomes. Third quarter, data arrives. Results become even more stark. Divorce rate among traditional couples, 8.3%. Divorce rate among egalitarian couples, 24.7%. Traditional wives reporting feeling more sexually satisfied, emotionally supported, Egalitarian wives describing constant stress about balancing career and domestic responsibilities. Traditional husbands expressing confidence, sense of purpose, clear identity within relationship. Egalitarian husbands reporting anxiety about meeting constantly shifting expectations. Financial stress significantly lower in traditional households. Clear division of responsibilities apparently reduces conflict about money management. Children in traditional families showing better academic performance, fewer behavioral issues. Start having trouble sleeping. This research was supposed to vindicate everything I've taught for 15 years. Instead, it's systematically dismantling core principles of feminist relationship theory. Keep reviewing methodology, searching for flaws that could explain these results. Statistical analysis is impeccable. Sample size eliminates any possibility of random variation. Controls account for every possible confounding variable. Peer reviewers are going to scrutinize every aspect of this study. Cannot publish results that directly contradict decades of feminist scholarship. My entire career built on premise that traditional gender roles are inherently oppressive. Students trust me to guide them toward healthier relationship models. How can I tell them that everything I've taught might be wrong? Call meeting with department head, Professor Miranda. Explain situation carefully. Emphasize need for additional analysis. Elena. Your methodology looks solid. Maybe the results are telling us something important about relationship dynamics. Feel blood pressure rising. Miranda. These results would suggest that feminist theory about marriage has been fundamentally incorrect. Well, maybe we need to consider that possibility. Science should follow data, not ideology. Cannot believe what I'm hearing. Miranda built her own career on feminist academic principles. Now she's suggesting we abandon core theoretical frameworks because of one study? I think we need to be very careful about how we interpret this data. There could be underlying factors we haven't considered. Elena, you designed this study specifically to eliminate confounding variables. Your controls are comprehensive. Leave meeting feeling completely destabilized. Final quarter results arrive. Traditional marriage superiority becomes undeniable. 18-month relationship trajectory data shows egalitarian couples experiencing steady decline in satisfaction. Traditional couples maintaining stable high satisfaction throughout study period. Exit interviews reveal specific patterns. Traditional wives appreciate clear role definitions, feel valued for homemaking contributions. Don't experience guilt about not pursuing demanding careers. Husbands handle financial pressure, major decisions, household repairs. Wives manage domestic sphere, child rearing, emotional nurturing. Both partners report feeling confident about their contributions. Meanwhile, egalitarian couples constantly renegotiating responsibilities. Endless discussions about fairness, equality, burden distribution. Women trying to excel in careers while managing household duties, feeling exhausted. Men uncertain about expectations, afraid to take leadership role in any area. Constant second-guessing creating relationship tension. Data also reveals uncomfortable truth about my own relationship situation. Been with Marcus for 4 years, living together for 2. Relationship perfectly embodies egalitarian principles I advocate. We split everything 50-50. Cooking, cleaning, bills, emotional labor. Constantly checking with each other before making decisions. Both pursuing demanding academic careers with equal intensity. Looking back on our relationship trajectory with new perspective. Remember countless arguments about household responsibility distribution. Marcus feeling criticized whenever he takes initiative. Me feeling unsupported when he doesn't anticipate needs. Our sex life declining as we both become increasingly exhausted from career pressures. Neither of us taking clear leadership role in relationship. Every decision requiring extensive negotiation and consensus. Realize with growing horror that my own relationship fits perfectly into study's pattern of egalitarian relationship decline. Marcus and I haven't had meaningful intimacy in 3 months. We're more like exhausted roommates managing shared expenses than romantic partners. Meanwhile, my neighbor Sarah, married 15 years in completely traditional arrangement. Her husband David handles all financial decisions, home repairs, major purchases. Sarah manages household, coordinates family social life, handles children's needs. They seem genuinely happy, connected, sexually engaged. Always dismissed their marriage as example of internalized patriarchal oppression. But study data suggests their relationship model produces superior outcomes across multiple metrics. Spend weeks trying to find alternative interpretations of results. Maybe traditional couples are simply reporting what they think researchers want to hear, but anonymous survey design eliminates social desirability bias. Maybe traditional women have lower expectations, so they report higher satisfaction, but satisfaction measures controlled for baseline expectations and life goals. Maybe egalitarian couples face additional societal pressures that traditional couples avoid, but data shows internal relationship dynamics as primary satisfaction factors. Every alternative explanation falls apart under scrutiny. Methodology was designed to be bulletproof. And it is. Results are scientifically valid and statistically significant. Draft initial paper summarizing findings. Hands shaking as I type conclusions section. Traditional marriages with defined gender roles demonstrate superior outcomes in relationship satisfaction, longevity, conflict resolution, sexual intimacy, financial stability, and child-rearing success. Egalitarian marriages show patterns of role confusion, increased conflict, declining satisfaction, higher divorce rates. Specialization allows partners to excel in specific domains rather than struggling with unrealistic expectations of equal performance across all areas. Clear role definitions reduce daily negotiations and conflicts about responsibility distribution. Traditional gender roles may represent evolutionarily adaptive relationship strategies rather than oppressive patriarchal constructs. Delete entire conclusions section. Cannot publish paper that destroys everything I've built my career on. Students who took my classes followed my advice about pursuing egalitarian relationships. Colleagues who respect my expertise on feminist relationship theory. Academic reputation built on specific theoretical framework that this data completely undermines. Decide to bury study, claim results were inconclusive. Tell research team that methodology needs significant revision. File raw data away, hope nobody asks about publication timeline. Marcus notices I've been distracted, anxious, avoiding physical intimacy. Brings up issues during dinner conversation. Elena, we need to talk about our relationship. Something's been off lately. Perfect opportunity to discuss study findings. Reconsider our egalitarian approach. Instead, deflect, blame stress from other academic projects. I'm just busy with research deadlines. Everything's fine with us. Realize I'm lying to my partner about research that could improve our relationship. But admitting study results would mean acknowledging that everything we've built together is based on flawed principles. Easier to maintain fiction that our egalitarian partnership is working perfectly. 3 months pass without publishing study results. Department colleagues start asking questions about research timeline. Received significant grant funding with expectation of publishing findings. Miranda schedules meeting to discuss publication status. Elena, the university is asking about your marriage study. When can we expect to see results? Still analyzing data. Want to ensure conclusions are properly supported. You've had complete data set for 4 months. What's taking so long? Feel cornered. Trapped between professional obligations and personal ideology. The results are complex. Need additional time to contextualize findings properly. Elena, just publish what the data shows. Academic integrity demands honest reporting. Meeting ends with Miranda expressing concern about my research delays. Situation becomes critical when Michael mentions study to colleague in psychology department. Professor Janet becomes interested, asks to review methodology and preliminary findings. Cannot refuse without raising suspicions about research validity. Reluctantly share sanitized version of results, downplaying traditional marriage advantages. Janet immediately recognizes significance of findings. Elena, this is groundbreaking research. These effect sizes are remarkable. Well, we're still validating the conclusions. The methodology looks solid. What's your hesitation about publishing? Trapped in uncomfortable conversation about academic responsibility versus personal beliefs. Janet offers to collaborate on publication, bring additional statistical expertise. Cannot accept without revealing my reluctance to publish unfavorable results. Cannot refuse without appearing unprofessional. News about study spreads through academic network. Colleagues from other universities start reaching out, asking about publication timeline. Feminist scholars express interest in results that might challenge conventional wisdom. Conservative academics suggest findings support traditional family values. Pressure mounting from multiple directions. Realize that attempting to bury study is becoming more suspicious than publishing results. Academic career depends on reputation for rigorous, honest research. Continuing to delay publication will raise questions about methodological flaws or ideological bias. Finally forced to draft honest version of research paper. Spend sleepless nights writing results section that accurately reflects data. Traditional marriages demonstrating superior outcomes across every measured variable. Egalitarian marriages showing consistent patterns of dissatisfaction, conflict, instability. Specialization producing better results than attempts at complete equality. Clear role definitions, reducing stress and improving relationship satisfaction. Paper represents complete repudiation of 15 years of my academic work. Feminist theory about marriage appears to be empirically wrong. Everything I've taught students, every piece of relationship advice I've given, based on ideological assumptions rather than scientific evidence. Submit paper to Journal of Marriage and Family Research. Peer review process takes 3 months. Reviewers praise methodological rigor, sample size, statistical analysis. One reviewer notes, "This study provides compelling evidence that challenges prevailing assumptions about optimal relationship structures." Another writes, "Methodology is exemplary. Results may be controversial, but appear scientifically valid. Paper accepted for publication with minor revisions. Publication date scheduled for next quarter. Academic community will soon have access to my research destroying feminist relationship theory." Meanwhile, Marcus and I continue deteriorating according to exact pattern described in study. Constant negotiations about household responsibilities creating daily tension. Both exhausted from trying to excel equally in careers and domestic duties. Sexual intimacy practically non-existent due to stress and resentment. Neither taking clear leadership role in relationship decisions, living exactly like unsuccessful egalitarian couples in my research. Irony becomes unbearable, studying failing relationships while living in one that perfectly matches the failure pattern. Paper publication announcement circulates through academic networks, colleagues expressing surprise, confusion, concern about implications. Feminist scholars questioning how Elena, known advocate for egalitarian relationships, produced research supporting traditional marriage. Conservative academics claiming vindication for traditional family values. Media outlets pick up story about feminist professor whose research accidentally proves traditional marriages superior. Academic reputation shifts overnight from respected feminist theorist to controversial figure whose research undermines core progressive principles. Department meeting called to discuss publication and its implications. Miranda expresses concern about potential backlash against gender studies program. Elena, your research is methodologically sound, but the conclusions are problematic for our department's theoretical framework. I followed scientific methodology. The data supports these conclusions regardless of ideological preferences. But your findings suggest that everything we teach about relationship equality might be wrong. Maybe our teaching has been based on assumptions rather than evidence. Realize I'm defending research that contradicts everything I've believed for decades. But academic integrity demands honest reporting of scientific results, cannot maintain intellectual credibility while suppressing inconvenient data. Student reactions prove most devastating. Women who followed my advice about pursuing egalitarian relationships feel betrayed, spent years encouraging them to reject traditional gender roles as oppressive. Now my own research suggests traditional arrangements produce superior outcomes. Former student Rebecca confronts me after class. "Professor Elena, I structured my entire relationship based on your teachings. Now you're saying traditional marriages work better?" Research shows what research shows. We have to follow the evidence. "But you told us traditional gender roles were patriarchal oppression." Maybe the reality is more complex than our theoretical models suggested. Watching students' faith in feminist relationship theory crumble feels like professional suicide. Marcus finally initiates serious relationship conversation, brings up study results he learned about through academic gossip. "Elena, your research shows that egalitarian marriages fail more often than traditional ones. What does that mean for us?" Forced to confront personal implications of professional findings. The data shows patterns, but every relationship is different. Our relationship matches the failing pattern exactly. We're constantly stressed, arguing about responsibilities, sexually disconnected. Cannot deny that our egalitarian partnership embodies everything wrong with the model my study exposed. Maybe we should consider trying a more traditional approach. Suggestion feels like betraying everything I've believed, fought for, taught. But our current approach clearly isn't working. We're living proof that egalitarian relationship model produces the outcomes my data predicted. News coverage of study intensifies. Conservative commentators celebrate research as vindication of traditional family values. Feminist academics distance themselves from my findings, question methodology despite peer review validation, invited to debates, conferences, interviews where I'm forced to defend research that contradicts my lifelong beliefs, Every public appearance requires explaining how feminist professor produced research supporting traditional marriage, academic colleagues treating me with suspicion as if I've betrayed feminist cause. But, conservative scholars embracing me despite my obvious discomfort with research implications, professional identity completely fractured, reaching breaking point during televised academic debate about modern marriage, feminist opponent Professor Diana attacking my research methodology despite peer review validation. Elena's study ignores systemic factors that pressure women into reporting satisfaction with oppressive arrangements. The methodology controlled for social desirability bias. These women genuinely report higher satisfaction. Traditional marriage inherently limits women's potential for authentic self-actualization, but the data shows traditional wives reporting higher life satisfaction than egalitarian wives. Satisfaction isn't the only measure of relationship quality. Actually, we measured multiple quality indicators. Traditional marriages outperformed egalitarian marriages across every metric. Realize I'm publicly defending research that demolishes everything I've taught. Audience watching feminist professor argue against feminist theory using her own scientific evidence. Personal life completely implodes. Marcus suggests we try traditional gender roles to save our relationship, him taking primary responsibility for financial decisions and major household management. Me focusing more on domestic sphere and emotional nurturing. Idea feels like personal betrayal of feminist principles, but our egalitarian approach has demonstrably failed according to my own research. Relationship satisfaction at all-time low, heading toward inevitable breakup. Scientific evidence suggests traditional approach might actually work better, trapped between ideological commitment and empirical reality. Choose to maintain failing egalitarian partnership rather than try traditional model. Marcus eventually moves out, citing exhaustion from constant negotiations and lack of intimacy. Relationship ends exactly as my study predicted for egalitarian couples. Professional consequences accelerate. Feminist colleagues questioning my commitment to gender equality. Requests for speaking engagements at progressive conferences dry up. Conservative organizations invite me to present research supporting traditional marriage. Accepting invitations feels like betraying feminist movement. Declining invitations wastes important research findings. Academic career caught between competing ideological camps. Neither side fully accepts me because my research challenges everyone's assumptions. Feminist scholars treat me as traitor who provided ammunition to patriarchal forces. Conservative scholars appreciate my research but remain suspicious of my feminist background. Final humiliation comes during university-wide faculty meeting. Dean announces review of gender studies curriculum in light of my research findings. Professor Elena's marriage study raises important questions about theoretical foundations of our programming. If traditional marriages produce superior outcomes, should we reconsider how we teach relationship dynamics? Entire career built on promoting egalitarian relationships suddenly viewed as potentially harmful to students. Colleagues in my own department avoiding eye contact. Years of academic work treating traditional gender roles as oppressive patriarchal constructs. Now, institutional pressure to incorporate research showing traditional arrangements work better. Professional identity completely shattered. Sitting alone in office, reviewing career trajectory. Spent decades building reputation as expert on progressive relationship models. Research intended to validate egalitarian marriage superiority instead proved opposite. Scientific methodology was rigorous. Peer review confirmed validity. Cannot dispute my own findings without abandoning academic integrity, but accepting findings means acknowledging that core feminist theories about marriage might be wrong. Students, colleagues, feminist movement trusted my expertise. Now forced to admit that advice based on ideological assumptions rather than empirical evidence. Personal relationship failed according to exact pattern my research identified. Professional standing destroyed by my own rigorous scientific work. Contemplating whether scientific truth matters more than ideological consistency. Research clearly shows traditional marriages produce better outcomes, but admitting this validates conservative arguments about gender roles, undermines decades of feminist progress toward relationship equality. Maybe some truths are too dangerous to acknowledge publicly, but suppressing valid scientific research violates core principles of academic inquiry. Trapped between commitment to empirical evidence and loyalty to political movement, career ruined by pursuing truth that contradicts cherished beliefs. Perfect example of what happens when ideology collides with inconvenient scientific reality. Final irony becomes clear. Spent years teaching students that traditional marriage oppresses women. Own research proves traditional wives report higher satisfaction, better outcomes. Promoted egalitarian relationships as superior model for modern couples. Data shows egalitarian marriages fail at much higher rates. Built entire academic career on theoretical framework that empirical evidence contradicts. Rigorous scientific methodology destroyed everything I thought I knew about relationships. Feminist professor undone by her own commitment to legitimate academic research. Ultimate victory of scientific method over ideological assumption. Truth proving more powerful than wishful thinking. But truth costing everything I spent lifetime building.